Hello, this is Daniel Mart back again, and for this video I'm going to be doing another movie haul. As I said in my previous movie haul about a month and a half ago when I posted that, this is kind of a series I want to continue doing because I'm getting a lot of movies now. I'm buying a lot of movies recently, and I kind of just want to show you. I think it'd be a fun video to do again every month and a half. So yeah, I'm going to start off with the Blu-rays that I got before I go into the DVDs. I honestly got a lot more DVDs than I thought I would, if I'm being honest. I didn't think I got that many until I actually see it right here. Let's start off with the Blu-rays. And first off, we have the Adventures Collection, the Stanley Long Adventures Collection. So I said this back in December in my Christmas haul video, if I'm not mistaken, that I want to get into more different areas of film. I want to look into more different genres of film, better said. And one of the genres that's kind of a blind spot, and I think for due to its implications to it, it's the sexploitation genre. So yeah, this is a collection of sex comedies, 3 sex comedies by Stanley Long, who is known as one of the kings of sexploitation. And that's the thing, sexploitation isn't porn. I think that's one of the major confusions I've seen a lot. It's just like, you know, a sex comedy. I think the closest thing I could think of right now, right off the bat, maybe, and even then, it's a hard maybe, because I don't even think it's in the same realm as it, but maybe stuff like the Wet Hot American Summers or American Pie movies, like those type of movies, are like sexploitation light, whereas these are not light. Granted, again, it's not like full-on porn either. Yeah, I mean, sexploitation is just a genre that I think a lot of people just kind of disregard because they just confuse it for porn. And I've seen a few sexploitation movies over the years, and it's not really porn. It's not really porn. Like, sometimes they'll focus on sex, sure, but it kind of just, it's not like the main thing, if that makes sense. And, you know, sexploitation as a genre in general has always been kind of interesting because of just the association it has with porn, or the confusion with porn. So, you know, having one of the I guess forefathers, front runners, people known for this, and him having a trilogy on this, it's just, I find that kind of interesting and amazing. And it's from the 70s, so it's going to be kind of raunchier than probably the usual. So yeah, this is his Adventures trilogy, and it's Adventures of a Taxi Driver, Adventures of a Private Eye, and Adventures of a Plumber's Mate. Those are the 3 movies here, and honestly, this is a collection I've been trying to look for some time already, since, honestly, December. I thought I found it on Macari, and I bought it on Macari, and then the guy's like, yeah, no, I don't want to sell it anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? So eventually I found it on Amazon for a decent price, and I got it on Amazon. And I'm gonna go with an Amazon story once I get to the DVDs. I'm gonna have a little Amazon story that this movie's kind of involved in, but it's not the main issue or factor of it. It just happens to be part of the order that the main issue is a part of, if that makes sense. Next up, we had American Psycho. Honestly, just a classic movie. Hard to believe that this is almost like 20 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Or not even 24 years old, because this came out, goddamn, 2000, Jesus Christ. Yeah, because it says right in the back. I've only seen this once, if I'm being honest, once I'm in TV, and because it was on TV, it was like cut or like edited in a way to make it safer for audiences, so to speak. So when I found out there was like other scenes in this movie that are kind of like, oh, that's in that scene, what the fuck, I didn't know, I don't remember watching that, and that's because it was edited for TV. So kind of want to get into this now and rewatch it again and see if my opinions on it change, because I remember I liked it, but it was one of those things, like, I liked it, but I was like, really, that's what everybody comments on? I'm like, yeah, it's a good movie, it's fun, I guess, but like, you know, it's alright. That was my reaction to it. It's alright. But in all fairness, that was also during like high school, I want to say. Either high school or when I just entered college. And I'll be honest, during high school or like my first couple years in college, I was just consuming movies. I was just watching movies to say like, oh, I watched that movie. That's really the only reason I was watching a bunch of these movies, instead of actually looking into them and really paying attention to the actual filmmaking aspects of it. So I think part of it also had to do with that, where I felt during that time where I was just consuming movies instead of actually watching movies, if that makes sense. Next up, we have the 3 Colors trilogy. We have a lot of trilogies here, like a lot of collections here. But yeah, this is a 3 Colors trilogy by Krzysztof Kieslowski, I believe is how you say his name. So he's the same guy who made Decalogue, which I also got back in December, and he's a really amazing filmmaker. A lot of people talk a lot of stuff about him, a lot of great stuff, and it's usually because of this or Decalogue that a lot of people love. And this is a film trilogy that I've been looking for some time, wanting to see for some time, so I'm really happy I finally got this. Next up, I picked up Jobs. Why not? That's basically my reaction to it, just why not? Yeah, I picked it up because, fuck it, why not? I have Steve Jobs right now, the Michael Fassbender one, so might as well get the Ashton Kutcher one. I remember I was going to watch this in theaters when it first came out, and then for whatever reason, I just didn't watch it at the end. I've heard mixed things about this movie. I'm really interested in watching it. I kind of just want to do like a back-to-back between this movie and then Steve Jobs, the one with Michael Fassbender, and just see how that is. Next up, I picked up Mass Effect Paragon Lost. So I picked this up at the dollar store. It's a Blu-ray. If you guys saw my last video, if you see a Blu-ray at a dollar store, might as well get it, because why not? And honestly, I didn't know Mass Effect had movies. I'm not a huge gamer. I'm not really into Mass Effect or video games like that. So I asked my friend about it, like, oh, do I need to play the video games or whatever? He's like, not necessarily. You can if you want, but like, it doesn't really matter. And honestly, I love animation. I love animated movies, so like, why not for $1? Screw it, why not? Speaking of collections, I have the Miklos Jansko collection. This has 5-6 of his movies. The Roundup, Red, White, and Blue. The Roundup, Red and White. The Confrontation, Winter Finds, Red Psalm, and Electra, My Love. So that's 6 movies. So yeah, Miklos Jansko, another filmmaker that a lot of people talk a lot of great stuff about. I don't think I've ever seen any of his movies, but a lot of people say this. He's a great filmmaker, and this is another collection I've been looking for some time. It's on Kino Lorber. Here's the thing, I'm pretty sure I said this in my last video as well. Yes, you could go on Kino Lorber or Arrow or Shout or whatever, but you go on Amazon, it's usually cheaper. If it's not the same price, it's usually just a bit cheaper. So I got this off of Amazon. Next up, Midway. I got this from a Depop haul where I got a bunch of other movies. Great price at the end of it, so yeah. Next up, I picked up Solo, a Star Wars story, 4K. So yeah, I'm starting to get into 4K, which is funny because I don't really have a 4K player. I have a Blu-ray player, but just the way shopping goes, sometimes you happen to get 4Ks. So here's the thing with Solo. I'm honestly very shocked by the reaction that people have to Solo, because Solo is not a well-liked film, and I don't get it. If I'm being honest, I do not get why Solo is so unpopular. Out of the 2 Star Wars story movies they did, Solo and Rogue One, I significantly prefer Solo to Rogue One. And I think the issue with Rogue One for me, the issue that's always been with Rogue One, is the fact that you know the story of how it ends. You know these characters are going to die because they never come back at the end. So why should I give a shit about them? Like, and that's always been my thing with Rogue One, and why I can't really get into Rogue One, because like, I can't really root for the characters, because at the end of the day, we never see these characters ever again. Like, who gives a shit? And I know they did a Andor spin-off, which I'll be honest, I've never seen any of the spin-off TV shows, but it's one of those things like Andor, that's a prequel to it. So yeah, yes, he's doing interesting stuff, cool, but I still don't give a shit about the character. I've never given a shit about the character, as opposed to Solo. And yes, you could say the same thing. Oh, you know, Solo survives. You know, Lando survives, and you could assume that Woody Harrelson's character dies or whatever. But like, that's the thing with this movie. You assume that Woody Harrelson's character, I forget his name, Woody Harrelson survives or not. You assume that, or you know, but you don't actually know that. You know, the only definite ones you have are Solo, Chewie, and Lando, because you see them in the original trilogy. Yeah, I've always just preferred Solo to Rogue One, and I'm honestly very saddened by the fact that Solo never got the sequel, because I actually do think this would have been at least a decent sequel afterwards, or even a sequel show. It's like we really gave Andor a fucking prequel TV show where it really wasn't needed, but you didn't give Solo a spin-off show at the very least to actually finish the story. And I'm not sure if it was ever followed up in comics or anything, but like, as one says, I've always been confused by the reaction. Like, why is Rogue One so highly upheld when we know what's gonna happen from the fucking start? But Solo, where it's an actual story where we have dick shit of what's gonna happen, people are just like hate it. And I've never understood it. Alden Ehrenreich, I thought he did good as Solo. Yeah, Donald Glover, I thought he was amazing as Lando. Like, I've just never understood the reaction to this. And then especially compared to Rogue One, where I'm like, Rogue One was fine. Rogue One, like, at best, it's fine. Like, I'll admit, the action scenes, the war scenes in Rogue One, they're great. I'm not denying that. But, like, it's at the end of the day, it's fine. Like, if you at least put them at the same level, I'm okay with that. But it's just the almost near vitriolic hate for Solo. And then, like, the just astounding love people have for Rogue One, I just don't get it. I seriously don't get it. For me, it should be the opposite. Granted, if I'm being honest, Rogue One shouldn't get any vitriolic hate. There is stuff to enjoy there, I'm not gonna lie, but like, again, Solo, great movie. I'm gonna be honest, one of the best Star Wars movies, period. I'm gonna die on that hill. Rogue One, it was average. It's alright. That's it. Like, I've just never understood it. So yeah. Next up, I got Studio 666, and this is basically the Foo Fighters horror movie. That's the best way to word it. And yes, Foo Fighters, like the band Foo Fighters, David Grohl, Foo Fighters, I'm a Pretender, My Hero, you know, those Foo Fighters. Yeah, they made a horror movie like 2 years ago, and it's fun. My God, it's very fun. That's really it. That's the best way I could describe it. It's very fun. It's good. It's gory, for what it is. The story kind of falls off in the last 15-20 minutes, but it's so fun. You know, it has Taylor Hawkins here, you know, who died sadly. Foo Fighters, honestly, is one of my favorite bands. David Grohl, of course, is part of Nirvana. Nirvana is my favorite band of all time, so, you know, of course, just makes it great. But, like, them being in this horror movie, it's just fucking hysterical. It's funny as shit. It's a horror comedy. Honestly, it's a fun movie. It's a fun watch. Go check it out. Next up, I got Sushi Girl. This is a dollar store pickup. Don't know jack shit about this, but there for $1. Next up, I got the Jewish Soul Collection 10 Classic Yiddish Movies Cinema. So this is kind of going back to that whole thing with Kino Lorber, where you could find it better on Amazon, which again I did. And yeah, these are just some classic, like from 1937 to 1950. These are 10 Jewish movies, 10 Yiddish movies. And again, this is me trying to expand my scope in cinema, cinema genres, and looking into different genres. And you don't really talk about or think about like Jewish cinema or Yiddish films or anything like that, aside from like maybe Fiddler on the Roof or like Yentl. I think like those are really the only things like think of that are like a Jewish cinema. Maybe like not The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Devil's Arithmetic. That's another movie that I could think of right now that's like a Jewish cinema. But like, like I guess you could say something like maybe Schindler's List, perhaps, but that's more of a World War II Holocaust film, and I think there's a distinction there. But yeah, like these are like Yiddish films. These are Jewish cinema, and again, these are very early, again from like 1937 to 1950. And it's just something I've been really interested in getting, and I finally got it. And yeah, these has 10 movies, and the movies are The Die Book, Mir Kumen On, American Matchmaker, Overture to Glory, Tevye, The Yiddish King Lear, Her Second Mother, Motel the Operator, Eli Eli, and Three Daughters. So those are the 10 movies here, and I'm excited to check this out. Next up, I got the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus Blu-ray concert. Next up, I picked up The Smurfs. Not gonna lie, I thought this was a good movie when I first saw it. A fun movie, you know, it's kind of like in that vein of like Alvin and the Chipmunks or the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, or, you know, they're just fun kids movies that everybody can enjoy, so why not? And next up, last for the Blu-rays, I got Valkyrie. This is Tom Cruise, World War II, based on a true story, and honestly, Tom Cruise is one of my favorite actors, and it's kind of a shame that this is one of the few movies I still haven't seen from him. I don't know if this is an underrated movie, I just think is that he's so tied into that whole Mission Impossible thing that it just seems like anything he does that isn't Mission Impossible nowadays is just kind of underrated in that sense. So those are all the Blu-rays. Now onto the DVDs. And the first one I have, it's kind of just loose there. It's just kind of like in a slip, and this is Juno. I just happened to get it for $1. Just happened to be there. It wasn't at the dollar store. It was kind of like a garage sale type of thing, and they were selling. I mean, most of the discs were either like music discs, like CDs, or like video game discs. This is like the only movie they had here, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get it for $1. So yeah, but it was in sleep, so that's why it's there. Now into the ones with the cases. Talking about sexploitation. Well, it's funny how the first Blu-ray movie I talk about, and I mean, I guess the first DVD movie, excluding Juno, I talk about are both sexploitations, and that is Caligula. This is considered one of the most sex-heavy movies ever. This one may actually just be straight-up porn in some aspects. But yeah, Caligula is gonna be a hell of a movie to watch whenever I watch it. Next up, we have the Celine Dion concert. This is the Live in Vegas, A New Day concert. And honestly, I love Celine Dion. I think she's a great singer. Of course, introduced to her from Titanic. I feel like Celine Dion, just though for me, her music is one that like I forget how many songs she's done. So when I hear a song, I'm like, oh yeah, that is her. It's like that's kind of the reaction I have to Celine Dion sometimes. But yeah, she's an amazing singer. Okay, next up we have Charlie Bartlett, dollar store. They had like a bunch of copies of Charlie Bartlett there, so I'm like, fuck it, let me just get one. Okay, so here on to the Amazon story. I'm gonna start off with Chucky, and again, the Adventures collection was a part of this, but it includes Chucky, and it includes another movie I'm going to show later, but I'm going to start off with Chucky, and I don't know what it was, if it was the transit or the way these people packaged it this time around, but usually I don't have an issue with it with Amazon. Every time I get something, it's cool, you know, it's packaged correctly, and the product is good. But this time, I don't know what the fuck happened, and I feel like this first part is a seller thing, but I don't know if you can see it here, but like the box itself, it's like visibly dirty, and like that is kind of gross. That is very, very gross. And you know, it's at the end of the day, it is used, so I guess to a certain extent, I should expect the fact that it's dirty, but like it's just dirty. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just kind of dirty. And then the other thing that happened, and this is something that definitely had to happen in transit, because I remember the box almost being dented. It's the fact that, I don't know if you can see it there, but like the clip is chipped right there. Like it's broken right there. It is chipped, and I really don't like that. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? And then on top of everything else, and this is purely a packaging thing, like a manufacturer packaging thing, that I'm like, I'm not sure if this is like a defect of this box, so to speak, or like just how all of these are packaged in general. And I asked my friend, and he has yet to get back to me, so hopefully he does. But I asked him, hey, packaging wise, how the fuck is this Chucky collection? Because I showed him a video of what was going on, and the thing is that like these, first off, the thing that holds this together, it is like fucking loose. Like it literally breaks off straight up. And then on top of everything else, the Curse of Chucky here, like some of these, but Curse of Chucky really has it. Like even the little nub is chipped off. So when I try to put Curse of Chucky here, cool, but then it falls off instantly. And Curse of Chucky isn't the only one that has this issue. I think Chucky 2 or 3 also has this issue. Yeah, Chucky 2, where it's the same thing here, it's falling off. So I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, I'm honestly not, I'm very dissatisfied with this packaging. The way this is packaged, it is just very disappointing, and yeah, I'm extremely disappointed on how this is packaged. And this one, again, I never have an issue with Amazon or the sellers or whatever. Like, maybe I have in the past, but not that I remember right off the bat right now. But the way this is packaged, the way it came in, the fact that the box is dirty, it's just, I'm very disappointed. I am very, very disappointed. And so yeah, that's the Chucky thing. So that's the Chucky of it all. And then the other movie, which I'll get to down the line, but there was other issues with the packaging on that one as well. And yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Speaking of other DVDs, however, we have Con Air, great 90s action movie. What else do I need to say? Crash. That Crash, the one that beat Brokeback Mountain Crash. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this movie eventually, so might as well just get it and watch it whenever I do. Next up, I have Cries and Whispers. So yeah, this is the Criterion, DVD Criterion for Cries and Whispers, Igmar Bergman's Cries and Whispers. And I don't know what it is about this movie, especially like on Depop or Mercari, but like above any movie on both those sites, Cries and Whispers is the one that I always see people trying to sell, and I don't know why. Because of that, I just got it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to pick it up eventually. And it's always this copy, like this exact copy, like the DVD copy. It's not like, because they of course updated their versions or you know, their versions of Cries and Whispers to have other artwork in the front and for it to be Blu-ray and all this good stuff. And yeah, but again, I don't know what it is about specifically this version of Cries and Whispers, but everybody's always trying to sell it. And yeah, and thankfully it has a little booklet inside, which is always great. I always like having that little booklet to just read upon it. I'm pretty sure like the newer versions have a more updated booklet, but just having it right now, it's good. So I got this for like maybe 10 bucks. I don't know what, again, people are always trying to sell this specific movie, and I don't know why, but fuck it, why not? Next up, I picked up Evolutions, and this is a movie that I just been hearing a lot recently on like some of the podcasts I listened to. So I'm like, you know what, screw it, let me just pick it up. It's a movie that I've always kind of been like mildly interested in, and just the fact that I've been hearing it a lot and like these podcasts, I'm like, screw it, why not? Let me just pick it up now. Next up, I picked up G.I. Jane, Ghost of the Abyss. So this is a documentary on the Titanic. I guess I got another Titanic thing here because I was actually referring to the actual Titanic movie. But yeah, this is a documentary on the Titanic. Basically, this is some of the behind the scenes stuff or documentary that Cameron did for when he was doing research for the Titanic movie, for, you know, 1997 Titanic. So this is some of that footage from there and the exploration from it. And honestly, Titanic is just one of my favorite things ever. It's always so interesting to research the disaster of Titanic, and you know, having a documentary on it, it's just great. Next up, I picked up Greta, Dollar Store Pickup. This is a movie that I've heard some good stuff about, so I'm like, screw it, why not? Next up, I got Hancock, and I remember I saw this when it first Not when it first came out, like not in theaters, but I remember I saw it like on TV. I don't remember much of it. I don't even think I saw the whole movie in its entirety. It's just one of those movies I know because of pop culture in general. Next up, Harlem Nights, just a Depop pickup. Hercules. Next up, I picked up Hercules. And here's the funny thing with Hercules. This is one of the few Disney movies I hadn't seen yet. I don't know what it was about Hercules specifically, but like, I just hadn't seen Hercules until I finally got this. So like, yeah, when I finally got this movie, when it came in the mail, I basically, like, within 24 hours, finally saw Hercules, because that was one of my weird Disney blind spots that for whatever reason I had just never seen Hercules, but now I have. It's great. It's fun. The animation is kind of weird. I guess I need to double check when this came out. If this came out during the tail end of the Renaissance. I don't see here, but I have to imagine this came out during the tail end of the Renaissance, because some of the animation sometimes gets a little bit weird, just with like the facial expressions, and I kind of associate like some of that weird animation more towards the 2000s Disney animated Disney movies. Honestly, some of the animation kind of reminded me of the animation in like Emperor's New Groove, if I'm being honest. That's what it kind of reminded me of sometimes. Next up, I picked up Hollow Man. Basically, this is a version of the Invisible Man. So yeah, Depop haul, go from there. I Know What You Did Last Summer, another Depop haul. In the Line of Fire, another Depop haul. King Arthur, I feel like I've seen parts of this, but I'm not completely sure. King Ralph, another movie I've heard a lot about recently for some reason, just on the videos and podcasts and whatever that I watch. And it's one that I've always kind of heard stuff about, and you know, at the very least, it sounds entertaining. Next up, I have Man on the Moon. And yeah, this is one of Jim Carrey's best performances. So I've heard. I haven't seen the movie, but you know, everybody knows about the history with this movie and how Jim Carrey went fucking apeshit and went on method when he made this movie. And you know, some people will say that it was well worth it. Some of them will say no, he was just a dick on set. You know, I mean, it literally says here that he won the Golden Globes for it, for Best Comedy Actor. So, you know, was it worth it? I don't know. You tell me. But I'll see it and I'll make my decision from there. Next up, I got Murder at 1600. Murder at 1600. This is, what, Wesley Snipes? Yeah, Wesley Snipes. This is Nicholas Nickleby. So yeah, this is an Anne Hathaway movie. One of my favorite actresses of all time is honestly Anne Hathaway, and this is one of her like early films, and that's honestly the only reason I picked it up. This is another dollar store pickup. Again, for $1, why not? Next up, I picked up Nothing But Trouble, and this is such a weird movie. This is such a weird movie. Tupac comes up, like him and Digital Underground, when he was first part of Digital Underground, when he was first coming up. He's in this movie for some fucking reason, and I think he dies. This is such a weird movie, and it's often considered one of the worst movies of all time. I'd have to rewatch it to really think about that, but I don't know if it's worse, but it is definitely one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. I can tell you that much. Next up, I got Philadelphia. Great movie. Pieces of April, another dollar store pickup. And this is a movie I've heard stuff on and off about. But, you know, it's still at the dollar store. Why not pick it up? Okay, back to the Amazon story. And this is the Pierre Etat collection. Another French filmmaker. And one of my previous hauls, I got the Jacques Tati collection. So think of a filmmaker in that vein, like Jacques Tati. And this thing is used. This is a used product. And to a certain extent, it makes sense why it came in like this. But I'm still not completely happy about it. And you know how, like, on every single DVD, let me show you this one, for example, like, you have the plastic that's right there in front of the art piece, right? So, for whatever reason, the plastic that's in front of it was, like, falling off when I got it. And you could kind of see signs of it here, or, like, tape, or, like, let me see, here, maybe you can see it right there. So, like, but yeah, I had to essentially rip that off because, like, it was falling off and it just didn't look good. And at the end, I just kind of taped some of the edges there so it could just stick. So there's that. And then the other thing is, and I'm not sure if this is Criterion packaging or the fact that this was a bookstore, a library that owned this originally, so they did it this way. But what the fuck is that packaging right there? Like, it's not nubs. It's like you have to pull this out and then all the movies fall out. And it's like that, and like, I really don't like the way that's packaged. And I've tried looking for videos, pictures of how this is packaged in the inside, but I just haven't had any luck. I just really don't like the way it's packaged. And for that portion, I'm not sure if this is the library's doing, or the way Criterion decided to package it. I can't imagine Criterion, even early Criterion, packaging a movie like that, but like, fuck, I never know. You never know, so yeah, I mean, yeah, my last Amazon order experience was just very not good. It was not good with Chucky and this collection. It was just, I just wasn't a fan of it. And yeah, very fast. The movies that are on here, it is Rupture, Happy Anniversary, The Suitor, Yo-Yo, As Long As You've Got Your Health, Feeling Good, The Grand Amour, and Lands of Milk and Honey. So those are the 5-6 movies that are on here. And yeah, that was my last Amazon haul. It was the Adventures trilogy. It was Chucky series and the Pierre Etat. And 2 out of 3 had an issue. Go figure. Continuing on, I got Psycho, the 1999 version of Psycho with Anne Heche and Vince Vaughn. Rest in peace, Anne Heche. But yeah, Psycho is honestly one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. And seeing this be remade is just one of those wow things. Like, Gus Van Sant literally remade this for shits and giggles. Like, I forget what movie he did right before this. But it was so successful that the studio's like, pick any movie you want to do, and we'll give you the budget for it, and we won't tell you, we'll give you complete control. And he was like, okay, bet, let me do a remake Psycho, and let's see if you guys really aren't gonna give me any control. And that's why we have a shot-for-shot remake. Go figure. Literally for shits and giggles. Next up, we got Porky's. Next up, Radio Days. This is a dollar store pickup. Ray, I got this from Depop. Honestly, like, this case is like surprisingly sturdy when I compare it to like even Radio Days. Like, I don't know what they did in this case, but it's like surprisingly sturdy. Like, it feels like it has some heft to it. So yeah. Next up, I picked up R.I.P.D. and I'll be honest, I actually enjoy this movie. It's not like fantastic. It's not like the best movie out there, but I do enjoy this movie. I have fun with this movie. That being said, I also just recently found out that they made a sequel to this, like a straight to streaming sequel to this, which is apparently absolute shit. And I kind of buy it. I saw like trailers for it and the stills and like some clips of it. And like, yeah, that looks like absolute shit. And I'm kind of surprised they did a sequel to it, because this movie was not received well at all. You know, for as much as I like it and enjoy it, at the end of the day, this movie was not received well at all. So I'm surprised that one, they did a sequel, but it's one of those things that's like a sequel 10 years later. Why? You know? Next up, I got Shooter, and I remember this being a fun movie when I first watched it, the only time I watched it. Next up, this is Sphere. So yeah, another Depop haul. Suicide Kings, Depop. The Christmas Truce, this I got from the dollar store, and this is one of those pure examples of me reading the back, thinking it's an interesting plot, and buying it. Because that's the thing, most of these movies, I've heard of them in passing. At the very least, I've heard of them in passing. This one I've never heard of. So yeah, I just picked it up, and it's basically based on that time in World War One, World War One, where the two opposing forces were the Americans and the Germans had a Christmas truce, and so it's kind of based during those events, and then these two people, fictional characters, find love during that time. You know, it is what it is. Why not? Sounds interesting, and it's for $1. The Hunt for Red October. Next up, I picked up The Blind Side. A lot of controversy recently because the main guy who does this, or the guy who it's based on, Michael Orr, and like the past year has been saying, no, actually the family was very abusive towards me, or something like that. And there's always been controversy low-key with this movie, and if Sandra Bullock should have been casted, or should she have won, and this being a white savior story. Not really gonna comment on it. Haven't even seen the movie, if I'm being honest. So yeah. Next up, I have The Last Boy Scout. Never seen this movie, but you know, great. You know, Bruce Willis is always fun, great. You know, it's very sad that he's not mentally there anymore. You know, we still have stuff like this. Of course, stuff like Die Hard and The Sixth Sense. You know, but even some of his lesser movies like this, it's always fun to go back to and just watch. Next up, we have The Longest Yard, The Mask. So yeah, another Jim Carrey movie. And honestly, I honestly really like this movie. And there's also the sequel to it, Son of the Mask. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do like Son of the Mask. It could also be the fact that I haven't seen it since I was like 10, if I'm being honest. So my judgment is kind of biased or cloudy or whatever. But I do want to pick up Son of the Mask and then just have a double feature between this movie and then Son of the Mask and see if it still holds up or not. But yeah, The Mask is really good. The Town. I know I've seen this movie. I don't remember shit from it. Next up, we have The Terminal, another movie I got from Depop, if I'm not mistaken. Tombstone. I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie. I just, again, another movie, I just don't remember shit about it, if I have seen it. The Untouchables. And I found out when I was researching this, there's also a TV series called The Untouchables. So that's very interesting. But yeah, no, this is the movie Untouchables. So yeah, The Way Back, and honestly one of Ben Affleck's like best performances. This came out during the pandemic in 2020, and I remember a lot of people wanted him to be nominated for best actor. I was part of that boat, but he didn't at the end. But honestly, this is a really great movie, and you know how you can just fall back hard on vices and addiction, and it's a very bittersweet movie at the end. If I'm being honest, it's very bittersweet. So yeah. All right, speaking of Titanic, here we go. This is the 2-disc Titanic collection, collector's edition, special edition, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, very early on, because I know they did this with VHS, and they had to do it again with Titanic. But I guess Titanic was just that big of a movie, lengthwise or time-wise, sorry, that they had to split it up between two discs. So part 1 of Titanic is in one disc, and part 2 of Titanic is in another disc. And it's kind of wild that they did this, in my opinion, because I'm also thinking, I can't think of another movie that they ever did that with, especially on DVD. Like VHS, I know they did that sometimes with like Gone with the Wind, but like even DVD, I don't remember them ever saying, oh yeah, the movie was so big lengthwise that we needed to cut it up into 2 discs. And like I think the prime example of that would have been like Gone with the Wind, but I've never heard of people saying that with like Gone with the Wind or like Heaven's Gate. You know, like I've never heard people say like, oh yeah, this movie was just so big that we needed to put it on 2 discs. And maybe it also has to do with the fact that like there weren't many 3-hour movies at the same time. Again, like Heaven's Gate and Gone with the Wind are the only ones I can think of. So I guess that's also part of the reason why. But like, I don't know. Part of me just likes the fact that it is on 2 discs, just because of just the whole ingenuity of it all, just because of the whole like what the fuck of it all in the best way possible. So yeah, and it's just great. It's just great. And then you have a 3rd disc with all the special features and bonus stuff, and yeah, that's amazing. Next up, I got Troy and Brad Pitt. Never seen it, but you know, we'll see what happens. It came out like during that time of Gladiator, when swords and sandals were all the rage with Gladiator and King Arthur and a bunch of these other movies. We Were Soldiers, Depop Hall, and last but not least, XXX, the Vin Diesel movie. Again, we started with sex, we ended with sex, I guess. Triple X, XXX. Yeah, this is the Xander Cage one, Vin Diesel. Not anything like that. That's basically it for my haul. What did you guys think? Which movies should I watch first or next or whatever? I've already watched Hercules. I've seen Solo in the past. I've seen Studio 666 in the past. I've seen some of these movies in general in the past. But yeah, which ones should I go with? And you know, what are your thoughts on Amazon? I guess right now kind of fucking me over with both Chucky and Pierita right here. Okay, I've never had an issue with Amazon, not that I recall. So, and then just have 2 issues like back to back within like the same delivery. It's just like, what the fuck? Like I've had like minor issues with Depop. I've had minor issues with Macari, for example. But like this is to a whole other level. It is what it is. But yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off. Okay, never mind. I actually have to make an addendum because I got more movies. Go figure. So yeah, usually these videos go up on Thursday. I know for like the past week or 2 weeks they've come out a little bit late, mostly technical difficulties, whatever. So I was gonna post this video today on Friday. I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be up on Friday. If not, then Saturday. We'll see. Yeah, I ended up getting more movies, and part of it had to do with the fact that I saw a Durant Cinemas new video, shopping video, movie haul video, and Walmart is one of those places where like I like going there, I like shopping, but it's one of those things like I'm always tempted to like buy a lot of stuff. It's almost like Best Buy, or used to be what Best Buy was, you know, where you just go there and it's basically like a kid in a candy store and you like pick like 50 different things, but you can only really take like 3 of them. So yeah, I ended up getting some stuff. Yeah, and I think the one thing I really like about Walmart in general is the fact that they always have a bunch of like these random collections or like big box series, you know, if that makes sense. So I got some of that stuff, and it's one of those things like I kind of just want to splurge a little bit, mostly because, and not to get too into it, but the past couple of days have been a little bit hard, if I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm kind of taking a note from Parks and Rec, if you guys know that show, and treat yourself. I actually was going to get the Parks and Rec movies, complete collection series set, but it was a little bit too expensive for my taste, in my opinion. So yeah, now with that done, let's just start off. So I got 2 Blu-rays I'm going to show you right now, and that is Encanto. So yeah, honestly, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Arguably, probably my favorite Disney movie of all time. That's one I really have to think about, but if it's not my favorite, it's definitely like up there, top 5 definitely top 10, probably top 5. That's the one I really have to think about. And I mean, part of it just has to do with culture. So Encanto is Colombian, and I am half Colombian. I'm half Colombian, half Peruvian. So yeah, I really, for my ancestry, I really just need to do a double feature between this and The Emperor's New Groove. There, you have Colombia and Peru right there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I just really, really like this movie. It's one of those movies that came out for me at the right time. Because of some of the stuff I was going with, and the songs really hit me. I love music. I think it has one of the best musics in all of Disney. Okay, the camera almost fell off. So where was I? So yeah, it has some of the best music in all of Disney. It's, you know, one of my favorite soundtracks in all of Disney, and I'll have that. And it's just one that really, again, just right place, right time type of thing. It's one of the few movies I've seen with my mom in theaters, especially now in my adulthood. Yeah, it's, again, just one of those movies that means a lot to me, and it's definitely just one of my favorite movies of all time. It's, again, just one that means a lot to me. So that's why I got it, and I got and some Blu-ray, so yay. And it has this little sticker which says Academy Award for Best Animated Feature or whatever. You know, it was right there on top of the plastic shrink wrap they put it. But I'm like, I like having those stickers sometimes, so I just kind of took it and put it in there. But the way it's kind of sticking right there, I may just put it in the inside. So yeah. And then the other Blu-ray I got, it's Black Panther. It was there for a pretty decent price. It had some pretty decently priced Blu-rays, because I feel like sometimes their Blu-rays, like just the single Blu-rays, are sometimes like extravagantly like overpriced. Sometimes like that's the one issue I do have with Walmart. Sometimes just their regular Blu-rays, not their collections, not even their DVDs, because their DVDs are like, if anything, they're sometimes like just cheap, you know. But like it's usually just like the regular, just single Blu-rays. Sometimes they're like weirdly priced, and I'm not talking about new releases either. Just like sometimes you'll just see a random movie there for like $30 and it's a Blu-ray, and it's like there's nothing special about it. What the hell? So yeah, so Black Panther was there for like $10. Same thing with Encanto. Both of these were there for like $10. And yeah, there were a few other Blu-rays there that I was like actually considering. Maybe I'll go back in the future and get them, but for now I'm just gonna stick with those two Blu-rays. Okay, as for DVDs, the first one I got is Bedtime Stories, and this is just an Adam Sandler movie that I've always enjoyed. I haven't seen it in like a long time, but it's one that I always just remember. It's one of those movies that kind of just like in my back of my mind, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that movie exists, and I remember liking this movie back when it first came out, and it's, you know, just a fun little family movie, and that's all that matters. And yeah, that's really it. Just that's all that matters. It's a fun Adam Sandler movie, and it's fun. You know, sometimes you have stuff like Uncut Gems. Sometimes you have stuff like The Ridiculous Six, where like who gives a fuck about it. And then you have his, you know, fun, fine family movies like Bedtime Stories. And you know, that's one that's always been kind of fun, sweet there, and it was there for like $4, so why not? Next up, I got the Mulan 2 movie collection, and this has Mulan 1 and 2. I've only seen the first Mulan. Haven't seen the second Mulan. And this is one of those things that I've always seen it around, like whether it be on Walmart or Target or even Best Buy. I would always just see this like DVD or Blu-ray. Sometimes I saw the Blu-ray, but I would just see it around, and it's one of those things like, I don't know why I just never picked it up. I can't really tell you why I never picked it up. I'm like, screw it, this time I'll pick it up. Fuck it, why not? And yeah, it was there for $10 as well, and that's really all that matters. I think part of the reason why I also picked Mulan is because right before I went into Walmart, for whatever reason, I got out of work and I just was on the train heading to Walmart, and for whatever reason, I just really wanted to listen to like Disney music in general. And I'm like, let me just put on my Disney playlist on Spotify, and I'll Make a Man Out of You was like the first song that popped up on that. And that's honestly I think that's a very underrated Disney song in general, Disney animated song in general, like I'll Make a Man Out of You. So yeah, I do think Mulan, the animated Mulan, is somewhat underrated in some respects, but yeah, fuck the live action Mulan. I don't know what the fuck happened there. That's what I'm gonna say too in that regard. All right, next up we have the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. So okay, fun fact, I haven't seen any of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, straight up, and I have a friend who's always telling me to go watch these goddamn movies. Like, you know, I'm missing out. They're some of the best animated movies ever. X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. Well, man, I finally got it. If you're watching this, congratulations. I finally got it. Here you go. And honestly, this slipcover is really cool. So, there you go. Okay, here's the real reason, kind of, why I went to Walmart and why Durant Cinema. I saw his video. I'm like, yeah, I need to go to Walmart right now. And that's because of the Shrek collection. So, here's the thing. In his recent video, they showed a Shrek collection, but it was the 4-movie collection. It was where it's just Shrek's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And cool, and you know, they had that there with like this type of slipcover. It was part of like, I guess, this slipcover collection, because you know, Walmart always has some kind of collection or thing going on when it comes to their slipcovers. They're always having stuff. I remember they had like a glow in the dark collection some years back, and I know I got one of them. I forget for which movie, but I know I got one of them. So yeah, so I went in there and just to get the regular 4 movie collection for Shrek. I only have Shrek 2 in my collection, so there's that. So like, and I've been wanting to like rewatch the entire Shrek series for some time, but then I saw this. And I'm like, oh shit! It has all 6 movies, so it includes Shrek's 1, 2, 3, and 4, plus Puss in Boots and The Last Wish, plus so I guess a bunch of the short films, 11 short films, and I guess 5 episodes from the Puss in Boots series, which kind of forgot that was a thing, if I'm being honest. And yeah, they always have those little short films. There's 11 of them. I don't know how many of them they actually created, but go figure. But yeah. And honestly, the only movie here I haven't seen, if you're excluding the short films and the episodes, is the only one I haven't seen here is The Last Wish. Shrek's 1, Shrek 2, those I've seen a bunch of times when I was a child. I saw Shrek 3 and 4 when they first came out in theaters and haven't seen them since. Same thing with Puss in Boots, the first one. And again, Last Wish I've never seen, so yeah. It's one of those things I kind of like. I just wanted the original collection, the original 4-movie collection, and that's the only reason I actually went to Walmart to just pick that up, and then I ended up picking everything else up here. So yeah, but then I saw this, I'm like, I'll spend the extra $10 just to get everything else. that was basically the logic there. Okay, next up we have some series. I got 3 series here, TV series, and first off I got the entire TMNT Nickelodeon collection series, all 124 episodes, and I've seen this series, I've seen a few random episodes of this series when they were on TV every here and there, but I can't really tell you jack shit of the series. I grew up, as I told you in a previous video, I believe, I grew up with the 1980s TV animated series, and I have that whole collection probably down here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, somewhere down here. That's the series I grew up. I haven't seen anything from the 2003 series, and I've seen like sparse episodes from this series. And if I'm not mistaken, there's probably another series even after this, also from Nickelodeon. And then I think right now they're gonna try to do another Ninja Turtle series with the Mutant Mayhem variety with those characters, or that version, if I'm not mistaken. That, or so I've heard. So hopefully that turns out well. And then of course the live action TMNT, which I actually do have. I'm not sure if I have the whole series, but I definitely have a few volumes of it. So it's one of those things, like they have volumes or series, whatever. But I have some of those episodes. So yeah, and again, TMNT is just one of my favorite franchises of all time. And I do want to get into some of these other series that isn't just a 1980s series. So this series is highly acclaimed. A lot of people love it. Again, I've seen a few episodes. I know some of the stuff that happens in this show, for the most part. Again, I'm not sure if it's like this show or like the sequel show that comes right after this, or whatever the deal is with it. But yeah, I've just heard a lot of good stuff, and can't wait to finally check this out. Sticking to Nickelodeon for a bit, I also got the Danny Phantom Complete Series Collection. Again, Danny Phantom is just one of those series that you grew up as a kid. I'm not really sure if I saw the entire series, because, you know, you're a kid, you just channel surfing, it's whatever's there. And I guess I wasn't aware there was only 52 episodes. I'm seeing this on the back, there's 52 episodes. I'm like, really? I mean, I guess it makes sense. Oh, this is Shout Factory. I just realized that. It's Shout Factory. I'm not sure if you see the little emblem right there, but yeah. Holy crap, did not realize that. Yeah, I mean, I remember some of the stuff that happened. If I'm not mistaken, I think this ended, not in a weird way, but I vaguely remember the ending to the series as a whole. But for some reason, I almost remember it as a movie. It's almost like Ed, Edd and Eddy. Like, the final episode, I almost feel like it was actually like a movie, or like, maybe it was probably like an extended episode, but I'm not really sure about that, because, you know, memory kind of fades after a while. And yeah, but I'm really excited to just go back here and just rewatch it. And that's what I do sometimes. I just kind of just go back to like some of these old series that I grew up with, like Ed, Edd and Eddy, or like Camp Lazlo, or like even some of the older stuff, like the original Scooby Doo, like Who Are You, Scooby Doo, or or actually any of the Scooby Doo shows, any of the Scooby Doo shows, or like Wacky Races. Holy shit, that's a throwback. Wacky Races, or stuff like that. Like any of these old Hanna-Barbera or Boomerang or Cartoon Network shows or Nickelodeon shows. Like, I've gone back to them from time to time, and just to go back to them and have fun, you know? Speaking of Hanna-Barbera, they also had the entire Jetsons collection, and this one more so than Danny Phantom. I'm not even sure how many of these episodes I saw. There's 75 episodes, and it's one of those things I'm definitely just gonna go in there almost blind and watch. And I also I just noticed this right now. Holy shit! I just noticed they have the Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, because I remember that. I definitely remember that. Holy shit! I'm so happy they have that. Holy fuck! I just noticed they have that. Yeah, cool. incredible. Fucking love that. A fucking bonus. So yeah, that I'm definitely gonna watch. Holy shit. I am now just processing that it has that Jetsons versus Meets the Flintstones, because that was a great movie back from what I remember. It was great, if not great, it was just like, it's fun because everybody loves Flintstones. I would say yeah, everybody loves the Flintstones. I don't know how many people really love the Jetsons. I feel like the Jetsons has kind of been underrated or like shoved under the rug or under the bus or whatever in favor of the Flintstones, because I feel like the Flintstones really was a franchise that grew because they had Baby Flintstones and all this stuff, and they even had their own cereal. They had the live action movies with like John Goodman and all this stuff. I feel like the Jetsons was just kind of left behind. So like to see that, so to see that it's getting some love here, but especially with the movie, even if it is still on the Flintstone side, it's great. Am I mistaken in thinking this? And this is definitely coming from a movie, but am I mistaken in thinking that like the whole Jetson Flintstone thing, it's like the Jetsons are like living in the sky and the Flintstones are like living underground, like it's the same Earth, and they're not actually like in the past or the future, like they're all within the same timeline. And am I mistaken in thinking that, or like am I just mad tripping on that one, or is that something I'm making up right now all of a sudden, or is that like actually canon? I don't know. Either way, I'm really happy to have this. I'll definitely binge watch the crap out of this soon, hopefully whenever I get some time, and go from there. Like like these 3 shows for sure, I'm gonna binge watch the fuck out of it like within like 2 weeks, and just to like bring back that nostalgic childhood joy for me. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give this quick last update on everything that I got: the Jetsons, Phantom, Danny Phantom, TMNT, and all this other stuff. You know, Shrek, Dragon, what is this, Mulan, Bedtime Stories, Black Panther, and Encanto. So yeah, those are the last things I got for this enormous haul. Like this little portion of the haul could literally just be called like my childhood haul, kind of like my animated childhood haul for the most part, you know. And then you just have like live action, you just have like Black Panther and Bedtime Stories, you know. And I guess I don't know, will Black Panther be considered like a childhood movie? I mean, it's a superhero movie. Whatever, fuck it. Yeah. But yeah, this is purely like a treat yourself type of situation. I'll admit this much. I spent a little bit more money than I thought I would have, but screw it, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just like really happy. I just had a rough couple of days. Treat yourself, like Parks and Rec says. Maybe next time I go to Walmart, I'll probably get Parks and Rec. Maybe. I mean, it's a decent price, so yeah, why not? But yeah, now that's basically it for the haul. What are your thoughts on all this that I'm showing right now? Everything that I showed in the past. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.